Hello, or welcome to the JS Self Care Mind, Body, and Soul podcast. I am your host, Janelle, if you didn't know. I want to send a shout out to all my new listeners. I appreciate you and I appreciate the person that sent you here. And if it was me, then I appreciate myself. But I'm sure it was somebody that said, hey, you need to listen to this episode. So thank you for being here and shout out to you, the person that has been tuning in faithfully, that has made the JS Self Care Mind, Body, and Soul part of your weekly routine. I see so many that have. That's super dope. Like, I'm slapping myself to think that, like, dang, I am Janelle am a part of somebody's daily routine. I am super grateful that you guys value this podcast so much that I never take that lightly. If you can leave a 5-star review and some comments about the podcast, that would be awesome. But more importantly, share with somebody because there's somebody in the world that needs this episode. There's somebody in the world that needs JS Self Care Mind, Body, and Soul podcast. And they have no idea what JS Self Care Mind, Body, and Soul podcast is or who Janelle is. But by sharing it with somebody, whether it's your dog, your cat, laugh out loud, your husband, your wife, your family member, your coworker, I don't care. Share it with your teacher, your boss, your client, just somebody because you can be that hero in their life because they might really need this message. So I want to say I truly appreciate you. Today's episode is how can we be impeccable with our word? One of the 4 agreements by Don Miguel Ruiz. So what does it mean to be impeccable with your word? Say what you want to say and mean exactly what you say. Be impeccable with your word. According to Ruiz, the first agreement is the most important agreement and also the most difficult agreement to honor. The importance of this agreement is that you will have the opportunity to transcend to the level of existence, empowerment. Some may say heaven on earth. Your word gives you the power to create. Through your words, you have the opportunity to express your creative powers. It is through your words you manifest everything in your life. Your intent to manifest through your words, what you dream, what you feel, will all be manifested through your words. Your words is not just a sound. You can't keep yapping. That's not your word. Your word is a force. It's the power you have to express and communicate and think. Your word is a way to communicate the things in your life you can speak about. Your word is your most powerful tool you have. It's the tool of magic. Your word is most definitely like a sword with 2 edges. Your words can create the most beautiful things in your word, can destroy everything around you. Watch what you say. One edge of the sword is the misuse of the word, which will create a living hell, a living nightmare. Like, for instance, you sure is ugly. Guess what? You're going to believe that you're ugly. Other edge of the sword is the impeccability of the word, which creates self-esteem, beauty, and love. You sure is beautiful. You will believe that. Depending on how you use your word can set you free or your word can enslave you and keep you shackled in a place you don't want to be. All the magic powers you possess is based on your word. The misuse of your word could be considered black magic, or as some may say, voodoo, santeria, and so on. Your word can either change a life or your word can destroy the lives of millions of people. The human mind is like a seed being planted. The seed you plant are opinions, ideas, and concepts. When you plant a seed, a thought, it will grow. The word is exactly like a seed, and the human mind is so fertile Too often, the mind is very fertile for the seeds of fear. Every human mind is fertile, but only for those kinds of seeds the mind is prepared for. What is most important is to see which kind of seeds our mind is fertile for and to prepare it to receive the seed of love. Seeing the awesome power of the word, we must understand that power comes out of our mouths. Once fear or doubt is planted in our mind, we can tend to create endless drama of events. One word is like a spell, and humans use the word like black magicians, thoughtlessly putting spells on each other. Every human is a magician, and we can put a spell on someone with our word, or we can even release someone from a spell with our word. We cast spells all the times with our opinion. For example, I can say your children's mother is never going to love your children as much as you do. If the person I tell that to doesn't say something like, no, she loves her children very much, and they believe what I say, he will have in his mind that the type of love he gives to their children is amazing, but their mother, on the other hand, does not love her children as much as he does. The power of the word. Other people's opinions can change your thoughts if you get sucked into what their opinion is. By hooking our attention to the word can enter our mind and change a whole belief for better or worse. Another example is you may believe you're crazy and you may have believed this for as long as you can remember. This agreement can be very tricky, causing you to do a lot of things just to ensure that you are not cray cray, also known as crazy. You may do something and think to yourself, I wouldn't have done that if I wasn't so crazy. I must be really crazy because a sane person would have never done no shit like that. The mind goes in a billion different directions, and we can spend days getting hooked by just that one belief in our own stupidity. Then one day, someone hooks your attention in using the word that you are not crazy. Then you believe what that person says, and you make a new agreement with yourself. As a result, you no longer feel or act crazy. A whole spell has been broken just by the power of the word. Conversely, if you believe you are crazy and someone hooks your attention and says, yes, you're really the most craziest person I have ever met, the agreement will be reinforced and will become even stronger. Be impeccable with your word because words most definitely have power. Being impeccable with your word is the correct use of your energy. Use your energy in the direction of truth and love for yourself. If you make an agreement with yourself to be impeccable with your word, just with that intention, the truth will manifest through you and clean all the emotional poison that exists within you. But making this agreement is difficult because we have learned to do precisely the opposite. We have learned to lie as a habit of our communication with others, and more importantly, with ourselves. We are not impeccable with our word. The power of the word is completely misused in hell. We use the word to curse, to blame, to find guilt, or to destroy. Of course, we use it in the right way, but not too often. Mostly, we use the word to spread our personal poison, to express anger, jealousy, envy, and hate. The word is pure magic, the most powerful gift we have as humans, and we use it against ourselves. We plan revenge, we create chaos with the word. We use the word to create hate between different races, between different people, between families, even between nations. We misuse the word so often, and this misuse is how we create and perpetuate the dream of destruction. The misuse of the word is how we put each other down and keep each other in a state of fear and doubt because the word is the magic that humans possess, and misuse of the word is black magic. We are using black magic all the time without knowing that our word is magic at all. For example, there was a woman who was intelligent and had a self caring heart. She had a son whom she adored and loved very much. One day, she came home from work having a hard day. She was exhausted. All this woman wanted was peace and quiet. But her son was bouncing his basketball all through the house. The son was unaware of how bad his mother's day was because he was in his own basketball world. He was too busy bouncing the ball, thinking he was playing against LeBron James. He was busy bouncing the ball and yelling out basketball stats. At a certain point, the mother lost control angrily. She said, I don't know why the hell you bouncing that ball. You have no chance in hell going to the NBA. Can you just put the damn ball down? The truth is, the mother's tolerance for noise was non existent. It wasn't that the little boy couldn't play basketball. After that, he no longer played basketball because he believed his basketball skills couldn't get him in the NBA. He became shy in school, and when he was asked to join the basketball team, he didn't. He even stopped speaking about professional basketball plays because it became difficult for him. Everything changed for that little boy because of his new agreement. He believed he needed to repress his emotions in order to be accepted and loved. Whenever we hear an opinion and believe it, we make an agreement and it becomes part of our belief system. This little boy grew up, and even though he could really play basketball, he never touched the ball again. He developed a whole complex from one spell. This spell was cast upon him by the one whom he loved the most, his mother. His mother didn't notice what she did with her word. She didn't notice that she used black magic and put a spell on her son. She didn't really know the power of her word, and therefore she isn't to blame. She did what her own father or mother had done to her in many ways. They misused the word. All she had to say was, Can you please put the basketball down? I'm having a bad day. How many times do we do this with our own children? We give them these types of opinions, and our children carry them like black magic for years and years. People who love us do black magic on us, but they don't know what they did. That is why we must forgive them. They don't know what they did. When you accept someone's opinion, it becomes an agreement. And now you will put all your power into that one opinion. That opinion becomes black magic. These types of spells are difficult to break. The only way to break a spell is for you to make a new agreement based on truth. The truth is the most important part of being impeccable with your word. On one side of the sword are the lies, which creates black magic, and on the other side of the sword is the truth, which has the power to break the spell of black magic. Only the truth will set you free. Looking at everyday human interactions, imagine how many times we cast spells on each other with our word. Over time, this interaction has become the worst form of black magic, as we call it gossip. Gossip is black magic at its very worst because it's pure poison. We learn how to gossip by agreement. When we were children, we heard the adults around us gossiping all the time, giving their opinions about other people. They even had opinions about people they didn't know. Emotional poison was transferred along with the opinions, and we learned this as the normal way to communicate with others. Gossiping has become the main form of communication in society. It has become the way we feel close to each other because it makes us feel better to see someone else feel as badly as we do. In an old saying, misery loves company. People who are suffering in hell don't want to be alone. Gossip could be compared to a virus. Gossip can have a harmful intent. Human gossip can spread into a pandemic if we don't stop it at its core by staying in the house and avoiding talking about others. That's what stops the spread of gossip and the virus. Imagine every single time that others gossip to you, they insert a virus into your mind, causing you to think a little less clearly every time. Then imagine an effort to clean up your confusion to get some relief from the poison. You gossip, and you then spread these viruses to someone else. Now imagine this pattern in a never ending chain or cycle between all humans on earth. The result will be a world full of humans getting information from a contagious virus. Even worse, the black magician are viruses spreaders as well and can intentionally spread the virus. Stop spreading the gossiping virus. For years, we have received the gossip and spells from the words of others, but also from the way we use our word with ourselves. We talk to ourselves constantly, and most of the time, we say things like, "Oh, you look fat, you look ugly, you're getting old, you're losing your eyebrows, you're crazy, you'll never be sane, you're never going to be good enough, you're never going to be perfect." Do you see how we use our words against ourselves? We must begin to understand what the word is and what it does. If you understand the first agreement, be impeccable with your word. You will begin to see all the changes that can happen in your life. Changes first in the way you deal with yourself, and later in the way you deal with other people, especially those you love the most. Consider how many times you have gossiped about the person you love the most to gain the support of others for your point of view. How many times have you hooked other people's attention and spread poison about your loved one in order to make your opinion right? Let me tell you this: your opinion is nothing more than your point of view. It is not necessarily true. Listen, your opinion comes from your beliefs and your own ego. We tend to create all this poison and spread it to others just so we can feel right about our own point of view. If we implement the first agreement and become impeccable with our word, any emotional poison will eventually be cleaned from our mind and from our communication and our own personal relationships. Impeccability of the word will also give you immunity from anyone putting a negative spell on you. You will only receive a negative idea if your mind is fertile ground for that idea. When you become impeccable with your word, your mind is no longer fertile ground for words that come from black magic. Instead, it is fertile for the words that come from love. You can measure the impeccability of your word by your level of self love, how much you love yourself, and how you feel about yourself is directly proportionate to the quality and integrity of your word. You feel good, you feel happy and at peace. Make an agreement to be impeccable with your word. At this very moment, I am planting that seed in your mind. Whether or not that seed grows depends on how fertile your mind is for the seeds of love. It's up to you to make this agreement with yourself. I am impeccable with my word. Nurture the seed as it grows in your mind. It will generate more seeds of love to replace those seeds of fear. This first agreement will change the kinds of seeds your mind is fertile for. Be impeccable with your word. This is the first agreement that you should make if you want to be free, if you want to be happy, if you want to transcend the level of existence. That is hell. It is very powerful. Use the word in the correct way. Use the word to share your love. Use white magic, beginning with yourself. Tell yourself how wonderful you are, how great you are. Tell yourself how much you love yourself. Use the word to break all those teeny tiny agreements that make you suffer. It is most definitely possible because I'm doing it, and I am surely not better than you. If I am able to break those agreements and create new agreements, then you can do the same. If I can be impeccable with my word, why not you? We are all a work in progress. Just this one agreement can change your whole life. Impeccability of the word can lead you to personal freedom, to huge success and abundance. It can take away all your fear and transform it into joy and love. Once again, thank you for sharing this podcast. Thank you for listening to this podcast. You are so dope. I truly appreciate you. The most important thing for us to do is to be impeccable with our word. All we got is our word. If anything in this podcast resonated with you and you want to continue the conversation, please don't hesitate to contact Janelle at jsselfcare.org.